If you ever are pressured by two of your overzealous friends, take it from me. Just say no. I adjusted the lapels of my perfectly tailored suit, the crisp letter tucked securely inside my coat. Beside me, Nick did the same, a nervous energy flickering in his eyes. Chris gave a deep breath.
Guys, I must say, we look fantastic.
Fantastic, dude. We're in 1920s suits in a giant manor, with a staff somehow expecting us. Oh yeah, the misidentification thing.
Point taken, man. In the meantime, brandy and cigars, anyone?
I sighed. Not sure if that makes things any better. Deep breath, guys. Remember, if anything is amiss, we book it.
I'm all out of plans on this one, man. Let's just see what this is all about. Keep your eyes and ears open. Something is obviously amiss.
Now apparently, Stanley Ray Turner in the eyes of the Manor's staff, Nick, now Arthur Kenji Tanaka, and Chris, now Everett Francis Cook, left the suite and began our slow descent through the Grand Keck Manor. The sounds of old-time music, the murmur of conversations, and the occasional burst of laughter drifting from what must have been the study. We reached the bottom of the stairs and stepped into a grand hall. A dark wooden archway loomed ahead. We're really doing this, yikes. To our left, a suit of armor, its metal gleaming faintly in the gloom. Across the hall, a portrait hung, its subject's eyes seeming to follow us with an air of mystery and a hint of sadness. The manor seemingly was a place where time seemed to hold its breath, waiting for an event that might never come, or perhaps we're now attending. Finally, we stepped through and into the study. The room hummed with an eclectic mix of individuals. Near a crackling fireplace stood a distinguished man, maybe in his 50s, with a neatly trimmed mustache. His red fez hat sat jauntily on his head, complementing the rich texture of his herringbone tweed three-piece suit. He appeared to possibly be Moroccan or something along those lines, his dark eyes sharp and assessing as he spoke with another man. The man he was speaking to exuded a different kind of confidence, a subtle undercurrent of something darker beneath his charming smile. He gestured expansively with a hand adorned with a heavy gold pinky ring. A glint of gold flashed from his wristwatch. His double-breasted suit portrayed power and influence. Their conversation, punctuated by the clinking of glasses, revolved around the intricacies of import-export and the possibilities of an arrangement. I got the feeling neither knew of the true reason for this mysterious invitation as well. Across the room, near a well-stocked bar cart, a striking woman in her mid-50s held court.
Well, I am Beatrice Sterling. Another martini, my good sir. Tawdry, you say? As my late husband would always say, not all of us can be winners, because who in the world would be the ones to clap as we parade,
She boomed across the room.
Hey, that's Beatrice Sterling.
I've got ears, man.
This brandy is amazing, if I do say so myself. And from the looks of it, a refill is in order, my man.
I figured as much. She sipped a martini, a long, elegant cigarette holder clutched between her fingers. A pleasant smile played on her lips, yet an undeniable air of arrogance and self-importance radiated from her. She laughed as she spoke with a thin, somewhat stooped man in his mid-40s, a bookish-looking man who looked awkward navigating the scene. He fidgeted slightly as he spoke with her. In the far corner of the room by a sprawling bookshelf stood a man in a sharp, dark suit, who looked to be of Asian descent.
Dude, is that, well, the guy I supposedly invited? What's his name? Kenzie blah blah?
Well, you would know Mr. Kanata, I jokingly nudged. By a grand bay window, a man in his maybe late 50s wearing a dark green military tunic adorned with numerous medals and decorations pinned to his left breast, laughed uncontrollably while speaking to a young couple in their maybe late 20s.
You see, good sir and madam, at the urging of the Prime Minister, it was he who encouraged my attendance.
As Nick and Chris ran off to the bar cart, I tried to eavesdrop on the what rank appeared to be Major General. He talked with a heavy British accent.
To make good and expiate the standing in the region.
The young man with the woman responds.
Well, sir, I heard many dignitaries and merchants were invited. And several, may I say, unexpected guests as well. Including one of questionable character.
Ah, good sir, you talk of Captain Blumbert's arrival under the guise of a routine inspection. I assure you those are tawdry rumors, my dear friend. It is true Captain Blumbert and his troops are on a routine inspection tour. But I take offense of the notion that the British find it amusing and unjust in their inspection. But I will admit we do worry so about our empire.
Nick come over to me with a hefty pouring of brandy. Dude, take it easy. He turns to me and mutters,
Dude, that's from the freaking Pankot Palace scene I told you.
I turn and squint. Pankot, what now?
Temple of Doom, man. Snake Surprise. Monkey Brains, the soup. I freaking love that goddamn movie.
Shit, dude, maybe. I highly doubt they're taking their cues from an Indiana Jones film. But at this point, anything is possible. The conversation and festivities of the evening halted slightly when a man named Ayub Ben-Jaloun interrupted Beatrice Sterling, vigorously questioning her about the validity of the reports on Sterling Steel corruption.
Those filthy rumors are just that. My late husband was a saint. I tell you, a saint. I'd have you watch your B's and Q's with me, good sir. I'll have you know Charles was deeply invested in many of the charitable foundations in this good city.
A gentleman carrying a half-finished brandy and wearing a conical approached me.
Well, hello, Miss. I do remember first hearing your name when I was up at Oxford.
I say, partially thinking maybe he had. Who am I kidding? Keep it together.
I'm Chatar Lal, just in from Delhi. We old war horses need not go so long, my friend.
It has been too long. I come on thinking, is this role play? But deep inside, no, it is not. May I ask how your research is going? Thinking to myself, I'm an idiot. Research? The man gives an awkward look, then says,
Always the jokester, I see, my dear Stanley. But I must say I do so look forward to your demonstration this evening. What a wonder, my friend. Ha 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 ha.
He gives a wink and then shuffles off. With a bell to announce, the double doors of the study open. Bernard, the head steward, flanked by another man in similar attire, and a woman in a decades-past maid's attire, enter.
Good evening, esteemed guests. May I say what a distinct pleasure it is to welcome you all this evening to Keck Manor. I do hope the selection of libations we have on offer meets with your individual preferences. We've taken particular care to ensure a variety that should satisfy even the most particular of palates. Mr. Vincenzo Falcone, a name that resonates with a particular, shall we say, force in certain circles. Or perhaps the more colorful appellation, the one whispered with, dare I say, fear, and perhaps grudging respect. Vinny the Vulture. Am I to understand that this is indeed the gentleman in our midst?
Hey, what's the big damn deal here? What's with this Mr. Keck calling all of us down? What's so important he gotta yank us out of our evenings? Listen, I ain't got all night for this kind of crap. This ain't no social club meeting. Either this Keck fella shows his face right now and tells us what the hell's going on, or I'm telling you we're out of here. Capiche?
Mr. Vincenzo now seems to take on an even more anguished look.
Now, Mr. Falcone. I perceive a certain, understandable apprehension. Rest assured, the unfolding of events this evening will proceed with a deliberate and insightful pace. Your time, which I know is of considerable value, will not be frittered away on trivialities.
Half comforted by the response, Mr. Falcone loosens up a bit, taking an extra long puff on his fast-dwindling cigar.
Indeed, I believe you will find the revelations to come quite illuminating. It truly elevates the tenor of this gathering to have such a constellation of talent and influence assembled within these walls this evening. Your presence lends a certain undeniable significance to our proceedings, and for that I extend my sincere gratitude. However, it is with a degree of disappointment that I must inform you of an unavoidable absence. Captain Blumbert, a man of, let's just say, singular character, has been unexpectedly called away by circumstances entirely beyond his control. His absence this evening is, I assure you, a genuine loss to our collective experience. And you, sir, your visage strikes a chord of familiarity. If my recollections serve me accurately, you are the celebrated Stanley Ray Turner, whose unconventional marvels have garnered a certain notoriety, shall we say. Am I correct in this identification?
I clear my throat, then try and play along with the bizarre narrative. Yes, I am he. Thank you for the kind words. I too am looking forward to tonight's proceedings. Chris and Nick slowly turn their heads my direction, and with a glaring look silently utter, "Dude, what the fuck?"
Indeed. We are all keenly anticipating the unveiling of your newest creation later this evening, within the rather tranquil confines of the conservatory. I trust the preparations we have undertaken meet your specific requirements. Every detail has been meticulously arranged to ensure the optimal presentation of your singular artistry. Now, if you would all be so kind as to follow me into the library. A carefully curated selection of delicate canapes, prepared with the utmost attention to detail, and a range of exquisite wines, each chosen to complement the other, awaits your discerning palates. Please allow me the pleasure of leading the way.
Our group of guests made our way down a winding hall. Bernard then abruptly came to a set of wooden doors, pushing them open, and with another robotic gesture, lifted his arm up for us to proceed. We made our way into a richly decorated library. The walls were paneled in dark wood, and tall bookcases filled with leather-bound books lined the walls. A large window with dark green curtains provides a view to what appeared to be a coming storm in the night sky. In the center of the room, several armchairs were arranged around a small table, exuding a sense for a space for conversation or reading. Candles were lit on a mantelpiece of a large fireplace, with the fire exuding a red and yellow out into the space. The fireplace itself was framed by an ornate wooden mantle, and engraved was the words, "From the Keck comes the fall." My eyes lingered on it. Maybe a family motto, but a bit ominous. Above hung a painting of the Keck Manor House, with some strange details I couldn't quite figure from the distance I was at. The bell was again rung, with now the doors to the library swinging open. And to our shock and dismay, a figure emerged dressed in a khaki-brown four-pocket tunic military uniform, likely belonging to a foreign army officer of many years past. That's when it hit me. Oh shit.
My most esteemed guests, it is with particular delight that I can now announce Captain Blumbert's arrival. My dear Captain, it appears those unforeseen circumstances have resolved themselves most favorably. We are absolutely thrilled to have you join us.
It was Chris's older brother, Mike. How the hell did he get wrapped into all this? Mike, obviously a bit in shock, had a look of utter disbelief and horror painted on his face. And now he was Captain Blumbert. The evident no-show of earlier? Yikes.
Bernard, sir, I will be happy to take it from here. Me and Captain Blumbert have much to discuss.
Chris and his brother make their way to us.
Chris, what the hell is going on here? What is this place?
Mike, keep your voice down.
You have me at a disadvantage.
You tell me, big brother. Thanks for the intel on the Keck house.
This is insane. What, the Keck house? The farmhouse with the creepy past? Oh, guys, I wasn't lying about all that when I told Chris here. This isn't the place my buddies and I checked out.
Wait, why?
The words that then followed out of Chris's older brother's mouth thickened the smoke-laden air, and like a sudden, unexpected fog rolling in and stealing the familiar landscape. An inescapable feeling of a trapped bird fluttering in my chest was evident. A cold wave washed over us, leaving goosebumps in its wake, although the room we were in was not. Our minds, a usually bustling marketplace of thoughts, suddenly fell silent, as if someone slammed the door shut, leaving us in a stunned quiet. Words tend to lose their meaning when you experience a sudden and jarring equilibrium shift. The words spoken feel like they're coming from a distant radio, garbled and unimportant. And all you are left with is the feeling they induce. We found ourselves staring, unblinking, at an irrelevant fixed point in the room, our focus sharp, yet utterly vacant.
Chris, Mom has been frantically searching for you. Hell, a good portion of the town, too. Chris, do you at all know how long you've been gone? 6 months. You three have been missing for half a fucking year.
It was now a strange disconnect we had suddenly felt. A feeling of observing ourselves from a distance. Is this really happening? My inner voice whispered, laced with disbelief. The world around us became null in our eyes. The ticking clock, the muffled conversations. It felt muted, like a poorly dubbed film. Our emotions began to take an odd shape. It was the numbness that came first, that raw protective shield to help against the onslaught of the body's well system. But beneath it, a tremor of fear began, a cold knot tightening in our stomachs. Confusion swirled amongst the four of us now. A dizzying vortex of questions without answers. And then, a raw primal pain began to erupt, sharp and immediate. We need out now. Escape and survival now became apex in our minds. Solving the mystery of this manor we conceded would either show itself while executing our escape, or well, it wasn't of top concern for now. It all seemingly was a moment suspended in time maybe. The before and the after was now separated by this sudden jarring intrusion. And the world as we knew it now was forever tilted on its axis. While we surveyed the scene in preparation for our next move, I began to notice a faint change in the demeanor of the other guests towards us. Brushing it off, I held steady for whatever strangeness would come next. I at this point solidly believed now that this was in fact something far more stranger than my teenage mind was able to understand. For the moment, I began to feel a semblance of understanding of the narrative it would well skew. Now aware of our escalating and troubling situation, we needed a plan.
Guten Abend.
The voice resonated through the grand hall, each syllable carrying the distinct weight of Sir Jacob Keck. A subtle undercurrent of something far more profound than mere politeness. His gaze, sharp and assessing, swept across the assembled company, a ghost of a knowing, almost triumphant smile flickering at the corners of his mouth.
Allow me to dispense with further pretense. I am unequivocally Sir Jacob Keck III, your host for this extraordinary convocation.
He allowed a pregnant pause to hang in the air, thick with the unspoken questions that had surely been swirling amongst his guests since their arrival.
The genesis of your presence here, I surmise, has been a subject of considerable speculation. Why this singular invitation? And perhaps a history you do not yet comprehend, to illuminate this unconventional circumstance, my newfound companions. We must delve into the very fabric of time itself, beginning with my own, rather. Uncommon pursuits.
With a slow, deliberate gesture, Keck indicated the diverse group before him.
Take a moment now to truly observe those who share this space. A truly peculiar assembly, wouldn't you concur? Individuals from disparate walks of life, each bearing their own unique histories and expectations. Now, I present to you a question, a notion so singular in its implication that it may very well unmoor your understanding of reality. I urge you to ask yourselves, with the utmost sincerity, am I, without a shadow of a doubt, residing in the year that my memories so steadfastly affirm?
A low chuckle escaped his lips, devoid of amusement, and carrying instead a hint of something almost clinical.
Such a query may feel stilted upon the tongue, uncomfortable even to contemplate. Yet, I implore you to traverse this seemingly bizarre intellectual landscape with me for a brief while longer. Consider the person to your left, the individual to your right. Is it not conceivable, however maladroit the thought may initially appear, that they originate from a different temporal sphere?
His voice deepened, taking on a more resonant quality as he approached the crux of his revelation.
The answer to this mysterious inquiry, the truth that binds us together within these ancestral walls of Keck Manor, is, I assure you, profoundly anomalous and utterly unaccountable by conventional understanding. Each and every one of you, within the confines of this estate, are in fact temporal outliers. You are each a traveler, plucked from a distinct stratum of time, a different juncture in the vast and intricate tapestry of history.
Keck's gaze intensified, a glint of something akin to scientific fervor illuminating his eyes.
But the manipulation of time, my friends, is not merely a parlor trick, a simple displacement of bodies across the temporal currents. Oh no, its potential extends to the very fabric of identity itself.
He paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle.
Some of you, a select few, may find your memories, your very sense of self, to be, shall we say, layered. Perhaps a name that feels both familiar and yet not entirely your own. A history with edges that blur, details that shift like sand in the wind.
He gestured with a theatrical flourish.
This, my curious subjects, was a demonstration. A glimpse into the infinite malleability that my device affords. Think of it. Infinite personas, woven from the threads of possibility. An endless array of lives that could be lived, paths that could be taken. To inhabit a new identity, to experience a different trajectory, it is but a whisper away, a minor recalibration within the temporal stream.
A shadow seemed to pass over his features.
My work, you see, has not been confined to the theoretical. The practical applications, they have been illuminating. You may have heard whispers, rumors that brush against the edges of accepted history. Tales of the Philadelphia experiment.
A fleeting hint of something darker. He allowed the name to hang in the air, a heavy, almost forbidden weight to it.
My contributions to that endeavor, though perhaps misunderstood by some, were instrumental in pushing the boundaries of what was deemed possible. Let us just say that the unforeseen consequences of manipulating the very structure of space-time provided invaluable insights into the fluidity of existence itself. Insights that have directly informed the capabilities you are now witnessing, the capacity not only to traverse time, but to reshape the very essence of who one is.
The air in the room seemed to grow colder.
Travel through time is not a simple matter of stepping from one moment to the next. It demands a conduit, a focal point where the very laws of physics bend to my will.
Sir Jacob Keck's voice, now stripped of any remaining pretense of civility, resonated with a chilling authority.
And this is that nexus. This estate is not merely a sanctuary, it is the mechanism itself. The very stones of this manor, the intricate architecture, the unseen energies that pulse beneath its foundations, all are integral components of my chronal engine. Each room, each corridor, each seemingly innocuous detail is precisely calibrated, resonating at specific temporal frequencies.
He stated he gestured expansively, his gaze encompassing the entirety of Keck Manor.
To step within these walls is to step outside the conventional flow of time. You did not arrive here through conventional means. There were no gleaming portals, no fantastical contraptions visible to the naked eye. The transition was more subtle. A disorientation, a fleeting sense of displacement perhaps? That was the manner at work, drawing you inexorably from your respective eras, weaving you into its temporal tapestry. And just as this manner has brought you here, it is the sole means by which any of you might return.
He moved with a predatory grace, his eyes, like chips of glacial ice, locking onto the faces of his captive audience.
Consider yourselves within the gears of a vast and intricate machine, a machine that I alone control.
A low chuckle rumbled in his chest, devoid of mirth. He paused, allowing the horrifying implication to settle.
The flow of time, for you, originates and terminates within these very walls. To be outside its influence is to be untethered. To risk dissolution, erasure from the very fabric of existence. My work with the Philadelphia experiment, it was a crude precursor, a dangerous foray into forces I only partially understood. But here, within Keck Manor, I have achieved mastery. I have learned to harness the temporal currents, to weave them to my design. And you, my unwitting guests, are now integral threads in that design. Your pasts, your futures, all are now subject to the whims of this temporal prison I have constructed.
A wave of hushed gas rippled through us, each intake of breath sharp with dawning horror. The weight of Keck's pronouncements settled like a physical shroud, a suffocating blanket of realization. One stark truth, cold and undeniable, pierced through the bewildering dialogue of his revelations. We were ensnared, caught in a temporal web of his making, and the enigmatic host, this self-proclaimed master of time, held the keys to our very existence, our captivity and potential release inextricably linked to his will. A primal instinct, raw and urgent, clawed at my composure, a desperate, unified yearning to break free from the opulent yet terrifying gilded prison of Keck Manor, a place that had so swiftly transformed from curious destination to inescapable trap. Yet the chilling implications of Keck's words painted a terrifying reality, far beyond mere physical confinement. This was no ordinary incarceration. The exit was not a simple matter of unlocking a door or scaling a wall. To step outside the manor's confines through conventional means, he had chillingly implied, was to court utter erasure, to risk being unwritten from the annals of time itself, a horrifying prospect. Now, our disparate group, forged in bewilderment and now cemented by shared peril, numbering 4, faced an impossible challenge. We were pitted against a mind that had seemingly bent the very fabric of space-time to its whim, an intellect that dwarfed our collective understanding, a being who moved through temporal currents as if they were mere tides. How could we possibly outmaneuver such a formidable adversary, a man who spoke of manipulating identities and harnessing the power of the Philadelphia experiment with an unnerving casualness? The odds felt impossibly stacked against us, like ants attempting to topple a mountain. The question of how to escape, how to reclaim our stolen lives, hung heavy in the silence, a daunting chasm of intellectual disparity stretching before us. Each tick of the grandfather clock in the hall outside seemed to mock our predicament, a relentless reminder of the time that had already been stolen from us. Yet, amidst the encroaching despair, a single, defiant ember flickered within our collective consciousness, a stubborn refusal to surrender to this madman, an unyielding will. It was a fragile weapon against such overwhelming power, a mere spark against a raging inferno, but it was the only one we possessed. Our desperate will to survive, to reclaim our lives and fight for a future that hadn't been dictated by Sir Jacob Keck III, was the solitary precarious advantage in this terrifying and unprecedented game of temporal cat and mouse, a game where the stakes were nothing less than our very existence. And with the ominous Keck family motto still raw with my head, I then and there vowed to make those words so finely ingrained in the mantle as literal as I fucking could. With Keck comes the fucking fall.